Alrighty, folks, I want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Don't think I've covered this subject too much. It should be a short subject. Wanted to go through power. And that is not your power supply. This is what your power supply is actually attached to. My recommendation is always to have a surge protection or some other device attached to your computer other than directly to the wall. We used to have a lot of weird issues in the old days. That would be really a weird common issue today because most people don't do this anymore. One of the issues that I used to have to troubleshoot a lot with a lot of people, and I've warned a lot of people in the old days, was we used to have TV tuner cards in our computers where you could watch TV on your computer, you can record TV on your computer. Now everybody has DVR units, online streaming, online DVR, all of these features where these tuner cards aren't really a factor anymore. And if you did, you probably have a capture card like I do in my little unit on my unit, but it's not hooked up to TV cable. This capture card, I could capture TV if I wanted. Have the antenna, have cable, put a tuner box, run the tuner box out into the capture card and capture whatever I wanted. I could still capture TV. I could still capture whatever I wanted. Old days, I would always tell people, make sure you have a surge protection and you run your TV cable through that surge protector also before it gets to your computer. Because when I used to go back to Indiana when I was younger, I would go into the electronic stores and I would look to see all the things that they had because the prices would be different between East Coast and West Coast. See what they had, see what they have interesting. Go into the big stores and just go look and see what pricing and see all this stuff. I was on vacation. It was, something to do. And I would hear people talk to people, well, my computer blew out. This happened, that happened. And the guys at the store, again, didn't have any real clue about a lot of this stuff. And it was still years and years ago. And it's not a wide talked about subject and all of that type of stuff. And I would ask the one lady, did you have a tuner card on your computer? Oh, yeah. Okay, do you have that run through your surge protector? No. You need to run that through your surge protector because odds are when she had that storm that came through, lightning hit something. That coax cable is a conductor. It's conducting video signal. It can conduct power through it. You have it hooked directly to your computer. That's the end of the line. That's why your computer went out. The guy at the store kind of looked at me and goes, well, that kind of makes sense. Well, yeah, it makes sense. Do you not tell people in this area that's what they should have? Well, no. Well, this is kind of the important factor to make sure you have everything grounded. Have everything secure. There's odd weather, especially this year, everywhere. Kind of brought me back up to this subject because I remembered having that conversation with the lady. And the really bad point was, is she goes, well, I have the surge protector with that on there. I just didn't hook it up through there. So she already had the equipment, but someone didn't tell her, hey, why don't you just run that? There's a reason why those surge protectors had that on there. That's why you have that kind of surge protection. Because you have to remember this goes back to this year's video again. What is your network setup? Having a tuner card with a feed coming into your computer, I consider part of a network. That is feed coming in. What that is connected to. This is one subject I did not talk too much about in any of the networking stuff, is making sure everything is properly grounded. I've talked about shielded cable that stops interference. Making sure you buy proper routers and other things that have the grounding pins and grounding wires is a huge factor also. Making sure all of those are plugged into a ground surge unit is a beneficial thing for you, because the last thing you want is lightning to strike 2 houses down, come through that electrical and blow out your router, your firewall, your computer, your TVs, everything. You don't want all of that stuff to go out because that's a huge cost. So understanding that and being told that is important. I've not heard too many people actually say that. And that can cost you some big money by not having certain things like a surge protector. Another important factor you may want is having a UPS, an independent power supply on your computer. Especially now that everybody was working from home and all of that type of stuff. The worst thing you would hate to do is be working on a project. You know, if you're working from home and you're getting paid by the hour, it's probably not a big deal. If you're someone like me doing media content and doing other stuff like that, doing it for yourself, and you spend an hour on it, and the power flickers, and that computer shuts down, and you lose everything you've done, then it's kind of a bummer. But there are also factors to prevent that from happening, is by having your product you're working on do auto saves. Every 5 minutes, save my data, save my path, save my patterns of what I'm doing, save everything that I have on there. And that would be your word processing application you would set up to auto save. So you don't lose it all, you just lose a few minutes. But if you're in that situation, sometimes that autosave didn't work or didn't function properly, or the data gets corrupted when it shuts down, because maybe it was in the process of autosaving at the time the power went down. And you lose all that data. Well, if you had a UPS on there, that computer wouldn't have shut down, wouldn't corrupt that data, and you wouldn't lose it. So I wanted to go through and express that point out, because I know a lot of people don't want to pay the $40-50 for the UPS. Not to mention that UPS has surge protection on it. That's a huge factor. I have the UPS on my Wi-Fi router, a phone unit, and the mesh unit, the main unit, so that if the power does go out, I still have internet. It's not that big of a deal because we have the phones. We can get on that. So it's not that big of important of a deal as it used to be in the old days, because you still have the communication. You still have the channel to reach out, see what's going on, get on their power site to see what's going on, power company site, whatever you need to do. Look at news media, look at whatever's going on to figure out, why did the power go out, how severe it is, what do we need to do? If it's 120 degrees out, what do we do? Can we go somewhere? Can we go to the other side of town, go eat, cool off? and the power will be back on in an hour or two and then come back. There's a lot of variables there that you can figure out from that. So knowing the power situation, power outages, all of those type of things that there is, and making sure you have grounding. I was reviewing my notes, making sure I covered the basics that I wanted to cover for this. Because this is part of, I would consider, the wormhole, or the rabbit hole. I keep saying wormhole this week. The rabbit hole. Because now you get into, what do I need? Just a simple power supply? Do I get UPSs everywhere? Do I get this? And then when you get into UPSs, they get into all this wattage and voltage and how many hours and how many minute usage, and most of these things will not last more than 15 to 30 minutes. That is enough time for your lights turn off, shut down, save what you need to, get off that computer. Shut it down. That's my best recommendation. Get off of it, shut it down. Because the other thing that you're going to have is when that power comes on, you're going to have that power surge. That power is going to boom, come back in. You don't want to be really on that and really tax that unit that you're on. Because you don't know how long the power is going to be out. It might be out for 10 minutes, might be out for 3 minutes, might be out for 4 hours, unless you absolutely have to be on there to finish what you need to. Probably there's nobody out there that has to be on there. But understanding having that surge protection is very important. Understanding having that surge protection on all your items coming into that computer. I don't know if any independent, you used to be able to run network cable and phone cable through a surge protection. I don't know if there's too many people still doing that. In the environment I have here, where I come off of a mesh unit into my computer, that mesh unit's on a surge protector, that computer's on the surge protector, I don't see a need to have any kind of surge on that network cable. The main line that comes in is cable company that goes into their router. Their router is on the surge protector / battery. From there, that network cable runs out into the main mesh unit that then is in the UPS surge protector. From there, it's meshed out. So there's no power being transferred out anywhere. From there to the TV, I have a mesh unit plugged into surge protection, network cable from that mesh unit up to the TV. I've got a video explaining why I did that, because the Wi-Fi issues and speeds and bandwidths and the wireless speakers that I have, that's the way it was done to prevent issues that I had. But that prevents a lot of that surge from taking out a lot of equipment. Of course, that TV's on a surge protector. Having those type of things helps to protect your equipment. Knowing those type of things. I know it could get pricey by buying all of those things. I know they talk about nowadays unplugging all of those things because they're constantly using electricity to cut your electricity bill. California runs all those ads. I see them on TV here about unplugging all the time. So this can get lost and confused on your protection. And again, if you have a power outage or something major where your equipment's off, you could turn off those surge protections also. Turn off the switch. By turning off that switch will help protect your equipment when the power comes back on. all that stuff on that surge protection won't get hit. That surge protector will take the voltage, do what it needs to. When you come back from wherever you're at, or you're in another room and you come back, you can then go over and turn that surge protector back on. Turn on those units. Turn on whatever you need to. So those were some of the little points I wanted to bring up on just having surge protection and UPS. And a UPS is somewhat important to keep your equipment up, because depending on how long some of that equipment takes to come back up, like a cable modem that I have, that thing takes 15 minutes or so before you get internet again. So it takes a while for that thing to come up, sync, communicate, do all those things. And if the power goes out for 2 seconds, it comes back up, and then you got to wait 10 or 15 minutes for your internet to come back up, it's kind of a nuisance. And if you're in one of those areas where it does it a lot, where you can have that problem every 10 minutes, every hour, maybe you have a lot of power lines that are on the poles and the wind, and it wiggles and it causes it to blink in off and off and off and on. Having a UPS might solve a lot of issues and a lot of headaches for you in the future and present. So I wanted to touch base on that and do a video on that, because I don't hear a lot of people talk about the importance of the UPS and the surge protection. And it used to be a bigger thing, because you used to use modems that you'd have phone lines run in on. And you used to have them run into all these different computers and all in your business and in your home. And again, those run out to someone else's network, that if there's something that happens on that network, electrical storm comes through, hits the phone line in a pole, maybe someone runs over a box, shorts out lines and voltage. Again, phone lines are low voltage, but there is voltage in them. And if you hit that voltage through something that is not supposed to be hit, you're going to have a problem. So in those surge protections, you used to plug those in also. This is where a lot of those problems used to be in the old days. I don't know too many people that are still using that kind of modem network type of structure. Maybe if you're in a little small apartment, you're the only one there, and you have your modem right next to your computer, and you don't have a UPS, you don't have anything there to protect you from some of this, you might want to look at some of those features. Maybe you've had problems where your computers go out a lot and you can't figure out why. And it might be you're in an apartment, and it might not be the wiring in your apartment, but it might be in a wiring in somewhere in that building that's causing an issue. If you're in a home, it might not be your home. It could be the home somewhere near you that something's wrong, causing issues. And it might not be causing issues for them, but it might be causing issues for you. And just having these little simple things can cause a lot of issues. Having this can kind of remedy some of those issues, can ground it out and not have all the issues you're having. And this was one of the points that I wanted to bring this up, because odds are nobody's really having this issue anymore, because a lot of these factors have gone away because of the tech has advanced where you're not doing this anymore. But if you are having these problems, it's going to be hard for you to find this information. It's going to be hard to figure it out. Remedying it by putting in surge protectors and UPSs might help everything and resolve everything. So let me wrap this one up. I want to thank everybody for watching Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Head on over and hit subscribe.